This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to
This is
Chicago.
Chicago.
From the 606
Doors open
Media
on the left
Studios.
at
This
Chicago.
is the TCSF podcast with Big Z, JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football, and E-Rock. Episode 214 is brought to you by 606 Media, true Chicago sports fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago. Use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and get your shirts now. And if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the X, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. And if you're on your favorite podcast app, remember to give us a 5-star review and drop some nice comments that'll shoot us up on the charts. You can also support the show with a subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. Go over there and click on the support button, and you can subscribe for as little as 99 cents a month. And if you haven't done so, check out the other shows in the 606 Media lineup in Podcated with Big Z, podcast where I interview interesting people that I meet all over the world. And we have Local Sports Tonight with Ivan Vargas, and we have the No Water on the Weekend podcast. But without further delay, episode 214, a swift win. And in this live episode, we're going to talk about the Bears. They made swift adjustments to the offense. And then we'll close out with a stir in a pot and a special edition of E-Rock's Notes Notepad. That is going to be tons of fun. So let's get into three up and on three and out. There we go. Boom, baby, boom. It was a great win at Soldier Field against a lackluster team that still had some talent and put up some fight in the Rams. Matthew Stafford always comes out to play, but the Bears took care of business. Boys, what is your impression of this win? Let's start off with E-Rock.
There's not a lot I can complain about in this game. The fact that the Rams were weak, we talked about that last week with Puka Nacua and and Cooper Kupp not being there. The Rams really had to rely on the rush game because you had your two wideouts that they were playing. What's his name? Tutu Atwell. I didn't realize how small this guy is. He's like 5'8", and he's running down the field as fast as he can. He did get Jalen Johnson on a couple of long passes, but like I said, he's such a small and quick guy. He was able to get in and out of there. But overall, all of us on the show were wrong as far as our predictions were concerned.
Yes.
I had 21-17 Bears. I think you had 24-16.
That was close. Just one team.
Stevie had 27-14. I still have no idea where those points were coming from. But yeah, one of the main things is JC said 60 yards by rushing. You can only allow that much. They ended up allowing 94 by Kyron Williams and 26 by the Rivers, a backup. But because of the way that DeAndre Swift came out, they figured out how to actually find a hole. They really relied on rushing to the right side of the line and, getting a couple of pancakes. They brought in one of the linemen to be your fullback there. And they really pushed it down the line. Caleb with his only 157 yards and the one touchdown. There was a couple of plays where you could have definitely got another touchdown, especially the one on DJ Moore where you kind of gave up on it. But overall, there's not a lot you can complain about in this game. You got the one interception. This was a complete win because you saw all facets of the offense actually firing, and it almost sounds like they were listening to our show last week because everything that they did is everything that we talked about on the show.
Yeah. JC?
No, I agree. Like I said, I really saw it as the only way the Rams could win was through their running game last week, and that's what I said, and that pretty much proved true. Matt Stafford and the passing attack was not very. Don't get me wrong; they had 14-yard pass here, 30-yard pass to Tutu Atwell there, but overall their run game was what was working for them the most. Without Puka and without Cooper Kupp, they're struggling with their backups. Matt Stafford is the perennial quarterback. He's doing the best he can with what he has, and still somewhat succeeding. But like I said, I think the Bears defense was a little too much. Obviously, interception there at the very end to seal the game. It's a lot to ask for a quarterback to go out there and throw 40 passes to, backups that, don't really see the field except for maybe 10, 15 plays a game. So, talking about the Bears, yeah, I mean, Caleb is coming around. It's little small incremental improvements week after week. So here's a interesting stat I came across just this morning. First 2 games, Caleb Williams was 37 of 66 with a 56% completion, 267 passing yards, 0 TDs, 2 interceptions with a 53 passer rating. The last 2 starts, 50 of 75 for a 67 completion, 520 passing yards, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions with a 93.7 passer rating. So again, small incremental steps, hopefully Shane Waldron, we've seen, the play calling change a bit. Hopefully we continue down this path. Hopefully things continue to just incrementally, slowly get better on the offensive side of the ball. I still think Caleb has an issue for whatever reason with his deep ball. I don't know if it's a timing thing. I don't know if it's, what it is. It's probably also the fact that, he's putting the ball out there too quickly or is worried he's about to get shellacked because the offensive line is, obviously an issue. But for whatever reason, his deep balls have not looked that great, to me personally. So hopefully that's something that can improve here in, in the next couple of weeks, that when we take a shot, it's a little closer than 10 yards out in front of the wide receiver. So that's just something I would look forward to.
Well, the thing is too, is that like we literally sat here 1 week ago today, pounding the fact that they need to get those nice underneath cuts, give them something where you can build up that confidence, right? And again, the one deep ball in the corner, it might not have been catchable, right? But we don't know that because DJ Moore literally admittedly slowed down when we saw that route. The ball was there. We saw there was another the deep pass to that he kind of forced in last week against the Colts to Rome, and Rome kind of had it in his hands, and the defender made a play, and they ended up intercepting it. So there's certain things there, but I mean, when I think one of the things that just as a fan of a local team that we need to remember is, if you sit here and watch the NFL, you got 2 games on tonight right now. Every single quarterback in the NFL overthrows receivers all the time, all the time. Sometimes intentionally because they're looking for a flag. They're looking for that PI. But a lot of times you just see them and you're like, that was so far ahead of them, because at some point it's a crapshoot, right? It's like hitting a home run and you get the warning track, right? You're just there, and then as you build up, again, this guy's in his 4th career start, his 4th game in the NFL. You're gonna
and taking those deep shots, it keeps the defensive honest. So we have to continue taking those shots. But after Justin Fields, that was the one thing Justin was halfway decent at, was he was pretty good 20, 30 yards downfield. But trust me, I will definitely take Caleb being way more consistent, way more able to pepper guys in the middle of the field on short 5, 10, 15 yard passes than the 30-yard. Because that's how we keep the chains moving and keep the offensive rolling. And that's the thing over the last 2 games, the short yardage passing has really helped the offense just keep the ball going. You're not allowing the defense to be out there, 50, 60% of the game. You're keeping the defense fresh. So again, take the deep shots here and there, but like I said, I really like the way that the offense has changed the last 2 games to really help set Caleb up to prosper.
Yeah, with Caleb, we all got to take a pause and understand he is a rookie. This is his 4th game. Thank you, Chuck, for chiming in. This is actually a good point. He hasn't really played football since last November, right? Preseason, that's all. That's all fluff football, really vanilla stuff that he's seen. That's why everyone's all geeked about his he's able to throw the deep ball and move the ball up and down the field. It's vanilla defense, and no one's trying to get hurt, and that's preseason. So reps. So Caleb Williams in his 4th NFL game, he's making strides. He's understanding. And if you saw you guys saw the game. He was actually calling stuff on the line. When he was when they were moving the offense, he was like, "I need to play. I need to play. Let's go. Give me the play. Give me the play." That's what he needs. He wants to move the ball. He wants the high tempo to keep the defense on its toes. That's what they need to do. Just like they did, they ran the ball, which is great. Exactly what we need to do is run the ball as much as we can to lay the pressure off the quarterback. But also those short passes, they're gold. Let those guys use their legs and break tackles and get further. And that's what we saw with DeAndre Swift. You let the defense in, cool. DeAndre Swift is going to be my release valve. So is Cole Kmet, my release valve. And then when they keep doing that, they go for the deep ball. The problem is, he's a little amped up, and he missed with DJ Moore and Odunze. But yeah, it's getting better, and we have to take a breather because it is Caleb Williams' rookie year.
One big thing that did happen was there was a leadership meeting with Shane Waldron. Okay. And you had Cole Kmet, you had DJ Moore, you had Mercedes Lewis, and you had Caleb in there. And basically says, hey, we got a problem. And this broke right before the game, maybe a half hour before the game. We got a problem. We need you to hold everyone more accountable. And I'm willing to bet that this was a Mercedes Lewis move because after the win, he was the one that got the game ball. He probably played like 5 snaps, but having him in the room when you're dealing, he's been in the league, I think, since Caleb has been 5 years old or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. So, we are seeing the value because I think some of us are wondering, like, what the hell are they doing signing this guy again? Like, what is he here for? We got all these tight ends. We got Gerald Everett, who has been a ghost since he's been here. Cole Kmet is finally getting used like he should be. But having a veteran like Mercedes Lewis in the room changes everything for the team. And he's been in so many different locker rooms throughout his career. He understands what it is to be a leader in the National Football League. But yeah, I mean, look, there's not a lot you can complain about. Even going up and down, we know that Caleb didn't have a lot of passing yards, but total 133 passing yards as a team, 131 rushing yards, 4.9 yards per play, 17 first downs, 5 punts. Torrey Taylor is a monster. Well, pretty much every punt was within the 5-yard line. It was absolutely ridiculous. And he was exactly what was advertised, right? He was everything that we saw that he was going to be coming out of Iowa, their only offense that they had on that team. But yeah, I mean, he was incredible. And seeing him being able to pinpoint it and getting your special teams down there to stop the ball to really boost up your defense and give them a much better chance because you're flipping the field constantly. Like JC said, there was a lot of downfield passes for the Rams. I mean, he had 203 passing yards, right? For Stafford. A lot of those long passes right down the middle, they're just kind of coming back to the ball. But with Taylor being able to flip the field, like I said, you make it a lot easier for your defense to be aggressive, to get in there. We saw a really strong game out of the defense. I mean, it was just, I think overall, a really, really solid game, and they were able to hold them at the end. And when we thought, the oldest number 1 pick in the NFL versus the youngest number 1 pick in the NFL right now, we saw the defense step up and snatch that ball away from Stafford when he was trying to make another 4th quarter comeback against the Bears like he used to do for the Lions. I can't say enough about the way I think there was a lot of development this week.
Yeah, there was a lot of development, especially with only allowing 3 sacks this time. So the less that Caleb can get hit, the better. We know what Torrey Taylor was. We drafted a guy that can flip the field to put the ball or put the pressure back on the defense. That's going to rise to the occasion, right? That's what we've seen every single week. And JC said it last week that you also need the offense to step up and give those guys a break. And I think the offense has been a lot better since that meeting with Shane Waldron, where they talked about like, hey, you need to coach us up. If something's working, go for it. Stop doing this stuff that you're not worried about. But again, 17 first downs. I think we can improve that. Our third down efficiency, 3 for 9, needs to be improved. The penalty yards, a lot of false starts. Cole Kmet was on 2 of them. He wasn't set. But there's stuff that needs to be cleaned up. I think once we start running the ball a little bit more and better, we can have the time of possession that'll allow us to control the game a little bit more.
And that's the thing too. Early in the game, with all you talking about 10 penalties for 84 yards, there was a couple of plays where Caleb just balled out and he got called back. There was a couple of plays like that. So I mean, you look at, if you would have seen the stats, if those couple of plays would have been
completions
included, it would have been a whole different ball game. What was I going to say?
While you think about it, I'll jump in real quick. The one thing for me is, some of these penalties are also because guys are moving around and Caleb isn't letting them get set. So again, rookie things where he's trying to push that tempo, trying to keep things moving, but at the same time the ball's being hiked before these guys are set. And that is unfortunately one thing that does fall on Caleb as the quarterback. He needs to make sure his guys are set before that ball gets snapped. And Iraq, I don't know if you figured out what you were going to talk about yet, but
yeah. So there's a couple of things that I'd sent in our chat earlier. Caleb Williams, 124.5 passer rating when under pressure in week 4. That is the highest in the NFL among all quarterbacks, not just rookies. So that is a hell of a stat right there, because we can see that he's starting to understand how his line works. Are they going to be there? You're seeing that he is starting to understand the way that he moved. With Tevin out, Pryor and Davison. Tevin, we're going to see what's going on because he has some bruised ribs, so he might be back. The unfortunate thing about Tevin is I feel like he's very talented. He's strong, but he's just got something in his body where it just doesn't hold up to the hits. I think, Pryor has actually been pretty good for the Bears. Davis is always going to be a question mark. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Other Caleb stat, he became the first rookie quarterback selected number 1 overall in the draft to win each of his first 2 career home starts in the common draft era. We know he didn't win that first game. We know that was a defense game. That was the Arizona Cardinals from, they are what we thought we were, 2.0. But he was the starting quarterback. He did he had a couple of decent plays to kind of help push him along. But still, what do these stats mean? Absolutely nothing. But they're nice to see accolades as you go on and as your fourth start of your NFL career. Little tiny things. And at the very least, like I said before, we heard Caleb talk about Hard Knocks. I don't get nervous before games. You're in the NFL now, buddy. We can see your nerves, and I'm not mad at you about it. I'm not mad at you for saying you don't get nervous. But what I am saying is that these little accolades will boost your confidence, especially when you're getting beat up those first couple of games. Okay, here we go. We're starting to see a little bit of the shine of Caleb. We're starting to see some of the special things that we know he's capable of. The way that he's able to get out of a sack, completely different than the way that Justin did it. But yeah, I mean, it was like I said, I think Caleb right now showed a lot of progress. I think Shane Waldron showed progress in this game. Their schedule coming up it should be winnable games, right? We got the what is it? The Panthers coming up soon.
Yep.
That's got to be a game you got to take care of. I don't even want to look further down the schedule because I really want to focus on this game here. Yep. But I think it's definitely a winnable game. What do you think, JC?
Definitely winnable, but Andy Dalton is making it a lot harder. The last 2 games with Andy Dalton in, I think the Carolina has scored over 21 points both games. So Andy Dalton is making them look better, making better decisions, getting the ball to the right people. And that's what a veteran quarterback is supposed to do. Unfortunately, I guess we'll see what happens to Bryce Young and see what happens with his career from here. But as of right now, Carolina and their coaches basically are saying Andy gives us the better option to win. And so far, the points are saying yes. Chuba Hubbard is running better. Andy Dalton is throwing better. Like I said, I mean, he's moving the ball effectively. So I still think it's a very winnable game. And, Andy Dalton was on the Bears. The Bears kind of know him a little bit. It might have been a couple of years. Maybe we don't have all the players that know his tendencies. But like I said, I still think it's a very winnable game. Carolina is still, a struggling, lackluster team with lower talent. But like I said, anything is possible with a Bears offensive line that, like I said, if they dial up pressure, hopefully we can contain. Tevin being out brings up an issue there. So like I said, it's patchwork and we're trying to hold together.
Go ahead, E-Rock, finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Andy there, I think it's not about like the current Bears know who he is. I think it's that there's enough tape out there from all the different teams he's played on that Eberflus is going to be able to pull up a good game plan and know how to plan against him. Chuba Hubbard, whatever his name is. He has a really young guy. He is progressing. We're seeing that he has to be the lead back because I think Jonathan Brooks, the rookie they drafted this year, is still out from, I think he had a torn ACL, but he was impressive college, so they held on to him. Xavier Leggett, I think he came from the Gamecocks. He's real. I think he was what's this called? One of the 49ers receivers, I'm pretty sure he was close with. I saw some photos of that. So they have young talent, but I think that the Bears are going to be able to dial it up. And I think the defense is going to be really important in this game because, once you put pressure on these young guys, you can get to Andy Dalton. I do want to clean up a couple of things that Israel is over here talking wild as hell in these comments, right? We got a couple of things that says the Bears need to hire Bill Belichick next season. That's just that's some wild shit. I think you did that just so we could read all your comments here. And you also had a question about Derrick Henry versus DeAndre Swift. There is a very good reason for that, and it's because Derrick Henry fits that Ravens system perfectly. That's exactly what a guy like Lamar Jackson needs, the way that they can run together. You really have a true running threat all the time. And if you watch the way that his career has progressed, we know that he went from always wanting to run the ball, and he's much more comfortable now staying in the pocket. So you have him as a threat because you know what he can do, but having Derrick Henry there, that fits them perfectly. That's exactly what they needed. And I don't think we would have been in the same boat here. We would have been over here doing the same thing, screaming about the line not giving him a hole. And, the way that they use him over there is perfect for his type, because even when he got drafted by the Titans, great player, don't get me wrong, but he was doing the things that he does because he's him, not because he was on the Titans.
Yeah, he would have been in the same boat that he was with the Titans with a crappy offensive line and trying to do too much and, putting the whole offense on their shoulders. I want to segue into a report by NFL Network's insider Peter Schrager, who seems to think that Kansas City is going to be shopping for a wide receiver, and they will be looking at the Bears to try to get Keenan Allen. How much of this do we put validity in, and are we okay with trading Keenan Allen?
Let's be honest. I mean, the Vikings, the Lions, and Green Bay, they're the top 3 in our division right now. We are not a playoff team. Keenan is on a 1-year deal. Depending on what we can get out of him, I wouldn't trade him now, but as we approach the trade deadline, like week, 7, 8, 9, I might you know, like I said, you know,
don't you want to strike while the iron's hot, because they're not going to wait till week 7, 8, and 9 to make this trade. They're down 2 receivers.
well, I mean, listen, there definitely is the possibility we could definitely trade him, you know, but at the same time, Kansas City, like Michael Thomas is still out there, you know, free agent. There's still some wide receivers out there on the free agent market that I think could step in for the Chiefs, and they don't have to trade any of their draft picks. But like I said, I mean, if they come looking for Keenan Allen, what did we trade? A second to get him? Wasn't a second?
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. So
I mean, if we could get a second back,
yeah, I think it really depends on what the return would be for him. Number one, number two, he played this week. I'm sure by week 6 he'll be injured again. Yeah. I've had him in fantasy for too long. I followed the Chargers to a certain extent back with Phillip Rivers and Vincent Jackson and LT and all that stuff. So I kind of always had a little bit of interest in them as a West Coast team. But overall, I mean, I look, Keenan Allen is a great guy. He's at the back end of his career. I would not cry about that whatsoever. I think it gives Rome Odunze a much better chance to grow with Caleb, to actually build up more of that rapport that's not just outside of football, right? I'm not mad at that at all. What happens is when you have 3 number ones, essentially, is that there's only one ball, right? Like that's just what it is. So I mean, if you don't have Keenan Allen, I don't think it's going to hurt you that much. You just have to help. You have to help Rome Odunze grow into that role, and you have to rely on DeAndre Carter. Now, if Velus Jones puts on a uniform as a result, then we can reverse all that shit. I don't trust that guy. I don't trust that guy, to float in an inch of water. I just can't. I can't put any stock into it. Israel, I got to tell you real quick. No intellectual would ever come in the comments of a Chicago sports podcast and talk about Matt Nagy and Trubisky at this point. Just don't do it, man. You can't. It's over. Your intellect, no mas.
Yeah.
I really think DeAndre Carter would be the one that steps up. I wouldn't think it would be Velus Jones. I think with losing, with trading Keenan Allen, you're going to have more options to throw to the rest of the guys on the receiving core. And that's going to go, you want Cole Kmet to get more receptions. You want DJ Moore. You want, even DeAndre Swift to get more receptions. I think his production can be easily replaced. And that's why I think right now you strike where the iron's hot. They have a need. We have an extra veteran that we don't need in reality. I don't totally disagree. I totally agree with JC saying the Bears are not a playoff team. I think they can make the playoffs. I really do think they can make the playoffs. Am I expecting them to make a playoffs? No, I'm not expecting that big jump yet. I'm not, because I still have to see where the offense continues to grow. We know what the defense is. We know what special teams is. We need to see what Shane Waldron in his first year with Caleb Williams, what adjustments he's making to the offensive line, and how to make the offense better. We saw it this week. Now you grow on that and you build on that. And if they continue to roll and continue to win like this, and it doesn't have to be pretty, if they continue to win like this, all for it.
It's not just that. I mean, you have to take into consideration the way this defense is playing right now. This is going to be like, if they continue on this route, they're going to be a top 5 defense in the league. They're already a top 10. But if they just keep playing the way that they are and play smart and don't do anything stupid, I mean, this is absolutely a top 5 defense. And especially for a guy as young as he is, and Caleb Williams, even with Shane Waldron learning this system, learning his players, learning the playbook, or learning the way to use his players. There's no reason why they can't sneak in. Look, the Packers, we know they have a good quarterback. Their defense isn't very good. And I can't even really take the Vikings seriously yet. Right. I'm not saying that I'm taking the Bears seriously, quote unquote, as far as like, oh yeah, this is definitely the playoff team. But I mean, I can't take Sam Darnold in the Vikings seriously. I'm happy for him, because if I'm not mistaken, they said he was like a few months younger than Mahomes or something like that. Like he's actually right on par as far as like his age, and he hasn't find that slot where he fit. I mean, Kirk Cousins kind of bounced around before they figured out a spot for him. And we'll see, if Sam Darnold can hold on to this job and be there for the next couple of years, God bless him. Good for him. He's he had to make his way, right? Kurt Warner did the same thing. I'm not saying he's Kurt. I'm just saying good for him. But with the talent that's on this team, I think that aside from Justin Jefferson, who are you really looking at on that Vikings team? Jordan Addison? Okay. We got Rome, we got DJ, we got Cole Kmet. Hawkinson is out still. He's got the knee. He's been busted up. Their backup tight end is someone like Johnny Munt or some guy you never heard of and whose last name rhymes with something really funny. But yeah, I mean, I see no reason why, if the Bears keep playing smart, that they can't make a playoff run.
Well, I'll just say this. The only reason why I say I don't see the Bears being a playoff team is just because of the offensive line. I mean, you look at our weapons with DJ and Keenan and Kmet and Swift and Roshan, and you just go up and down the list. And then the defense is, I will say this, they're giving up a little more rushing yards than they did last year. So I don't know that we're going to be top 5 in rushing defense like we were last year. Again, it looks a little more porous this year. It looks, but that said, we're still going to be a top defense. We're still taking the ball away at a pretty good rate. My only concern is, like I said, we started off, with the offense not being able to keep themselves on the field. The defense was out there way too much. Again, if you do that game after game after game, come week 8, the defense is going to be, not only getting upset that they have to continue to hold them, hold other teams to whatever, but it also becomes hey, we're doing our part, you're not doing yours. So that always causes strife within a team. So again, we're seeing small incremental increases on the offense. That's perfect. That's great. Now, you can say what you want about Sam Darnold. You can say what you want about the Vikings. Right now, their offense is top 3 in the NFL. They are putting up points. They made the whole Vikings team made Green Bay look, silly. And then Green Bay came back even after throwing 3 interceptions and scored 4 touchdowns. So, like I said, I mean, Green Bay is no joke either.
So do you think that the Vikings defense is as good as the Bears, or the Packers defense is as good as the Bears? You're thinking about it way too long. Just say no. You're thinking about it way too long. If you think long, you're thinking wrong.
No, I mean, the Vikings definitely not. Green Bay, I mean, Green Bay has a very good secondary. And that's what kind of worries me about Green Bay, at least.
There's 3 levels. The fact that you have to be honest with yourself. The fact that you had to look to the sky for answers and think about it that long tells me that you
I'm more worried about their offenses.
Right, but that's not what the question was. I asked if do you think that they have as good a defense as the Bears, and the answer is no. The answer was no.
But they don't have to with a going against Caleb and our offensive line, and that's the problem. But
here's the thing: you can, unless you intercept the ball and get a pick 6 or run it back, you can only score on offense, right? So you're going to tell me that the Bears defense can't hold these guys just to give Caleb and the team enough time to figure it out and score some points? Come on.
Seeing as that we face them later on in the season, I'm hoping that the offense does figure it out by the time we have to go against our division rivals. Looking at the first 4 weeks, had we played the Vikings or Green Bay or Detroit in these first 4 games, I think we would have taken L's, because I don't think our offense is good enough.
The first game, the offense
was putting over 28 points a week.
We can absolutely agree. The first week, the offense was a disaster, and the Bears defense had to come through, and then a stupid ass throw by by that putts down there in Tennessee. But the last 2 games, at the end of the game, these were 1-score games, and they just didn't execute on offense. Okay, so now let's say, like I said, 1-score games. You get a Hail Mary and you sneak into the end zone. Okay, well now you're 2-0. Same thing, 3-0, 4-0. I'll say this. I feel like you don't see the progression there. You're ready to just knock them down. You're ready. Well, I don't believe in them. I can't. You're ready to believe in them Vikings, but you won't give us a chance.
No, all I'm saying is we are in probably the roughest division in all of the NFL.
And that means
the NFC North. I mean, the Vikings are no slouch. The Packers are no slouch. Detroit is no slouch.
Okay,
we are going up
Bears
against the roughest division.
You're putting the Bears at 4.
All right, here we go. Vikings 28-6 against the Giants, 23-17 against the 49ers, 34-7 against the Texans. 49ers and Texans last year, both playoff teams. Vikings 31-29 against the Packers, also a playoff team. So, I mean, you're saying the Vikings are not that good a team.
What I'm saying is I don't believe in them based on what they've done in the past, based on what Sam Darnold has done all these years. I'm saying that if he ends up panning out for the Vikings, good for him. But I'm saying you look at him, he's already been in the league like 4 or 5 years. What makes you think that he all of a sudden found it? And if
the fact that he's putting up 30 points a game,
if this is the roughest division, they have to play in it too. So do the Patriots, or so do the Packers, so do the Lions. Everyone has to play against each other, right?
The bottom line is the Vikings found their Brock Purdy. They found the guy that runs the offense effectively and moves the ball and scores points. That's all it is.
Games are over. Them games already happened. I'm looking towards the future, and I'm looking at the way that the Bears built up this week. And there's if they play the way that they can, the defense should be able to take care of business, and the offense is building week by week. Because, like I said, them 2 games that they lost, they were 1-loss games, and it was just something at the end of the game. It wasn't like they're getting blown out over here at all. There's no reason that they can't get in. If they play the way they can, the way that we know they can with their talent, we know that they could sneak into the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm not saying to say that they're going to win
2 games from the Lions last year.
So we're looking at the Vikings who are 4-0, points forward or points scored 116, points against 59. So that's a pretty good defense. So that's pretty good defense right there, right? Because the Bears are pretty much at 500 with 77 and 75. They've allowed 75 points. They've scored 77 points. Yes. Could we have one with the Hail Mary? Yeah, we could probably be talking a different story at the moment. Is the Bears defense good? Yes. Is the Vikings defense good? Do I believe in either one? Yes. I just really think the Bears defense has the ability to be way better because I think we have way more playmakers when it comes to our defense. I can't wait for that game. That's November 24th. That's going to be the showdown, right? Because once we get into November, now we're playing our division rivals. And I know we have to take care of business before we get to that, but we're looking at those games in November that are going to provide us a clearer picture of who we really are. And be, to the point of this is one of the toughest divisions. Yeah. And it's really going to show our character if we can beat up on our division. I got some echo.
Again, it's all going to come down to our offensive line needs to keep gelling, continue to make incremental steps better. And again, Shane Waldron, hey, get in that film room and be like, dude, who are you blocking here? Like, what are you doing? Like the guys, the veterans said in this meeting with Shane Waldron, you need to start holding people accountable. And if they are not doing their job, find someone that will. Again, if Pryor is the guy, if he's playing better than Bates, he's playing better than whoever, then I expect him to keep playing. Again, if Davis is playing better than Jenkins, even though I'm not a fan of Nate Davis, we have had this conversation. Maybe he it took a benching for him to get his head out of his, for lack of a better word, his ass.
But do we
No,
have anybody to replace him? That's the problem.
Yeah.
As of right now, no. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel because we have a lot of injuries right now, and like we've had this conversation, there's not many people out there, on the free agency waiver wire, whatever you want to call it. Going back, we were having the discussion that about the whole Keenan Allen situation. Again, if we could get the second that we spent on him back and parlay that into signing a Michael Thomas, I think it would be great. I still think Keenan is very instrumental right now on the Bears because, I was listening to Sirius XM NFL radio, listening to Pat Kerwin, who's a former GM, and Jim Miller and some of those guys. And they basically said, like, Keenan Allen right now is the guy that understands how to get open while Caleb is under pressure. He is he is the first read, he is the guy that knows how to get open, like when someone's under pressure. So that veteran leadership from Keenan, it does help. Now, if we can get a second back that we spent on Keenan and move on, and again, the guy also has injury history, but if we can bring Michael Thomas in for $8 million, or $5 million, because he's sitting out there on the free agent market, he's not on a team at all.
Why is that?
Why don't the Chiefs go after him then?
Yeah, why is he sitting on the sidelines? Why is he out?
He constantly has foot and toe injuries. He's had, but again, but it's a
one-for-one
veteran player that would help Caleb. So again, all I'm saying, if we move on from Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas is one of those guys I would kick the tires on.
Then if he's not good enough for the Chiefs, he ain't good enough for us. We don't need that.
We don't know that he's not good enough for the Chiefs yet.
Then why is he not on a roster then? He's not even that old. He's like 27 years old. There's no 27-year-old great wide receiver sitting in the free agent.
The past 5 years, he's played 16 games, I think.
Yeah, that tells you a lot.
He hasn't played much because it's been injury after injury.
Yeah.
So again,
I'm not trying to give him money. I'm not giving that guy any money.
I would.
For what? Yeah. To be injured? You're doing the same thing with Keenan then. You're just turning a page. You're just doing the same shit.
Exactly, because
I
understand your guys' viewpoint of you want to get Rome more reps, but at the same time, I think the veteran wide receiver leadership helps Caleb.
Mercedes Lewis helps more than anything. That's a player coach.
Mercedes Lewis isn't catching passes.
Yeah, and neither is Keenan Allen because he's hurt all the time. Neither is Michael Thomas because he's hurt right now. There's a reason he's not in the NFL. You don't just drop Michael Thomas when he came into the league was great with Drew Brees when he was young. What has he done since? Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Right? That's how that works.
He's on my fantasy team, and I can tell you last year, before he had suffered another turf toe injury, he was doing probably 5 to 7 catches a game.
Yeah, when he was available. The most important ability is availability, and he don't got it.
Yeah, and if we trade Keenan and move on from Keenan,
then Rome's going to get the reps.
That's fine. You still need depth behind Rome. Yeah, I still think bringing in Michael Thomas would be a good thing for the Bears.
Don't spend the money. Don't waste the money.
I really think that because you're trading one for one, a guy who's injured versus a guy who's injured, just one's on a roster right now. Thomas is 31. He's 31. So he hasn't played.
How old is Allen? 34?
About yeah.
Yeah, I think Keenan's 34.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I really think it's a one for one. Let's transition over to our predictions for the next game against the Carolina Panthers. We know who they are. We know what the talent is because we kind of rated all their talent. But what are we saying and what are we predicting for next week's home game?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Give me the Bears 27, Carolina 16.
Okay.
24-21 Bears. 24-21 Bears.
24-21. You have it as a close game. Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking 31-24 Bears. I think the offense comes out shooting.
I think they do too. I think that we do see Andy Dalton give it his best. Unless we get a couple of interceptions. I mean, I think that Carolina, if he's doing his job right now, he can't score. Like I said, they got Xavier Legette over there, or Leggett. He's a really impressive rookie. He was highly drafted. And you got Miles Sanders in there, who used to be on Philly. So they got a little bit of running game. If they, like I said, if they can get it moving a little bit, then we'll see what the outcome is. I still think the Bears come out on top. I think that they're still learning to win. So that's why I would think it'd be a closer game, because they're going to have to fight for those points a little bit. They have the talent, all the talent in the world to score 34 or 31 points. You just got to execute. So I think this is another stepping stone for Caleb. After that, they go over to England and play the Jags. So I think it's an important win to kind of get that, because there is a ton of Bears fans over in England from when the 85 Bears went over there and did their tour back in the day. So there's a lot of Bears fans in England. But I think this is a nice little stepping stone. Get rid of the kitty cats, right? Bears beat cats, right?
Yep.
Take care of business with the Panthers, and then go over to England and beat up on the Jags. And
definitely going to be a good couple of weeks of wins. Go ahead, East.
So I got my one big question of the week. We teased this a little bit earlier, and this is going to be a Bears question. Okay, so this week Tom Brady revealed on Sunday Night Football that he seriously considered signing with the Bears in 2020. He said Chicago was a team, and I've never told that story before, but they were very stealth in the recruitment. He even brought his note cards during free agency negotiations. It looks like the Bears offered $10 million for his services, and the Bucs offered $27.5 million. A lot of this other stuff here is, if they had ponied up the cash, could he have won? Blah, blah, blah. My question is not that. My question is, if Brady had signed with the Bears, would it have tarnished his legacy?
I would say tarnish a legacy when you've gone to so many Super Bowls and won so many Super Bowls. He had a storybook ending with Tampa, and it was exactly what it should have been, right? He left Belichick and saying, I can win without him, and he did. And he showed the world that he can do that. I think, would he have won a Super Bowl with the Bears? Probably not. Probably not. But I think coming to a historic franchise, I think intrigued him. I think, being able to have the possibility to bring a championship that we haven't had in 40 years at this point, 39 years, would have been another challenge for Brady. And that's probably what it would have been, the interest for Brady to bring that championship to Chicago. And it has been such a long time, and kind of the Jed coming over here from New England and winning the championships over there in Boston and coming over to Chicago and saying, we're going to do that same thing with the Cubs that we did over with Boston. So that's the intrigue that really I think that he had. But at the end of the day, he that money, that cheddar made a big difference. 27 million, Jesus.
And his kid was down there as well. And someone said there's no way Giselle was coming to Chicago.
No,
I don't care how many stories you got on the Mag Mile. She's she wouldn't.
Yeah. Listen, he said the Bears were very stealth in their negotiations. He never said that they were an actual option. All right. Because $10 million is not a serious offer. When you look at Michael Thomas, who 1,000 yards for the past 7-8 years, versus who the Bears had Alshon. I don't even know who the Bears had at that point because it wasn't Brandon Marshall.
Oh, you had David Montgomery and Allen Robinson. This is
Okay,
only-
yeah, and Allen Robinson was at that point was falling off.
Allison's on I think he's on a practice squad for the Giants.
Yeah.
But the Bears let Allen Robinson walk, or we traded him at the end of his Bears run, and
let
he
him-
fell off hard after we let him go.
That last year he was here because you remember he didn't want to play. He
Yeah.
barely, like you saw him, he didn't complete his routes. He was just like, oh, I'm just here. I'm
Yeah.
just here. I guess I have to be here until it's over.
Yeah.
He did not care about his last year.
Like I said, I mean, Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin,
Gronk coming
Tampa
over.
Bay, if I believe, had a better offensive line, but they had a rookie center.
Okay, so
Bringing Gronk in, I mean, that alone.
is would his legacy be tarnished if he came to the Bears?
I still don't think so. I still don't think so.
I don't think it would have been tarnished, but the fact that he went on to win a Super Bowl with Tampa the first year, I think increased his legacy. But I don't think being with the Bears would have necessarily tarnished it. You know, I think people would have just looked at it as, it's the Bears.
Yeah.
Like they haven't won since '85. It's the Bears.
It would have been like a White Sox move, signing somebody at the end of the career that's no longer good. But
Manny.
right, Manny Ramirez. I mean, that's not good.
Jason
Come on,
Hayward,
we can stop.
Soriano.
The
Junior.
White Sox have locked it up. Let's drop that. It's not baseball season in Chicago. Yeah, definitely. I do not think it tarnishes his greatness. You know, if whether he would have won or not, I just think it would have been really cool to have him here.
I mean,
Yeah, after playing in Boston, I think he was done playing in the cold and the weather anyway.
yeah, I mean, I don't see a scenario where he was coming. When they say stealthy, it's, I mean, I guess Dan Patrick talked about this a couple of years ago, and it never really, Brady never confirmed it. But yeah, so I guess this was public knowledge as far as like the media was concerned. But he was considered to be second. So I think it was Tampa or bust. I don't think there was really anywhere else he was going. And I think the fact that, again, he wouldn't have won here. And I think a big part of his legacy is the fact that he was able to win without Belichick. So he would have, I think his legacy definitely grew. And I think it's solidified by him going to Tampa and winning that championship. Tarnished, I wouldn't say tarnished necessarily, but it definitely, I think that last championship where he was drunk and almost fell off that boat, or that dock or whatever the hell that was. He needed that, and it was that was the release that he needed, right? He was just built up all that tension and everything like that with Belichick. And look, he's doing his thing now in the media, and Belichick's in the media too. So I'm hoping that his broadcasting career gets better because it's a little rocky right now. But yeah, man, I tarnish no, but it definitely would be a lot different without that Super Bowl win in Tampa.
Agreed.
Definitely agree. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with E-Rock's notes and stirring the pot. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
This is Chicago.
Wrong one. Sorry.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Nowhere on the Weekend.
Yeah, sorry guys. Literally,
you muted everybody.
I muted it because I started hearing feedback. Well,
Yeah.
welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with E-Rock, Big Z, and JC Dynasty Fantasy Football. And we got a little segment here for E-Rock where we're going to talk about E-Rock's notepad and what he's written on this week.
Yeah, I only got a couple of things this week. One, before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to Mike Logic event that we were at last Friday at the Prohibition THC Cafe or TH Cafe. 2113 South Straight. It was Moonson, Star Raw, vice versa. Mike Logic, Young Vet. Cool little pop-up event there. Rock the mic over there. Joey Child showed up. Epic Uno was over there. He's talking about he's I don't know if anyone knows who that is, but he's a MC, Chicago legend, and he's out there battling colon cancer. So it was good to see him out there. But yeah, I just want to give him a shout out. This place was pretty dope. It's basically a Black-owned dispensary cafe. All types of different beverages. You can get herb. You can get vapes, pre-rolls, all types of stuff there. So pretty cool little spots. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. So in my notes this week, specifically, we did have a couple of things go down, but the main thing I wanted to talk about this week was Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose retired after 16 years in the NBA. There's a lot of conversation about Derrick Rose and what he means to the city. But I think the two main topics when you talk about Derrick Rose right now, number one, were you more excited? No, I'm not going to do that again with the Justin Fields question because that's still, I think people are still mad at me about that one. But yeah, the two things I want to talk about with Derrick Rose specifically is should they retire his number? Should the Bulls retire Derrick Rose number? Because there's, I think, 5 numbers right now retired at the United Center. It's Jordan, it's Pippen, it's Bob Love, Jerry Sloan, and then Bill Russell, who is retired in all of NBA. So he would only be the 5th player for the Bulls to have his number retired. So, boys, should Derrick Rose number 1 jersey get retired?
I think that's definitely yes. Yes. I don't know why I got feedback. Definitely that has to be a yes. Youngest MVP. He came in here, changed the dynamic. Definitely took us to the playoffs with a well-built Chicago Bulls team. His numbers stand for themselves. When people were looking at who should we draft, would have been what's his name of the kid? I'm sorry?
Michael Beasley.
Yeah, Michael Beasley or Derrick Rose. There was no question it was to be Derrick Rose. The big man that with his back to the basket, those days were done. And all the critics and analysts were saying, no, you got to go for Beasley. And Derrick Rose, homegrown, drafted here to play for his hometown team, and then comes out, wins the MVP, and was one of the most spectacular players since Jordan. I mean, it was must-see TV when he was playing, and especially if he had a fast break, that boy jumped out of the gym, and the calls by Stacey King, I want to go higher. Those kind of calls. I mean, it really just made Stacey King. He was able to show out his personality a bit more with Derrick Rose, and started giving guys nicknames and stuff. But Derrick Rose definitely retired that kid's number. I think they'll do an appreciation night. I'm not sure if they're gonna raise a banner for him, but appreciation night would be the best against New York because Tom Thibodeau is coming into town with New York, and then you bring in Joe Kim, also a New York guy. He's a big community person for Chicago. You can bring in Taj Gibson and then Kirk Heinrich and all the rest of that team and do it that day versus New York.
Yeah, absolutely. JC.
I guess I'm going to be the controversial one and say I think the jersey should be retired. Do I think it needs to be retired right now? I don't know. To me, great player. I think his legacy was marred by the injuries. Again, just my opinion. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, some of those guys, yeah, those guys definitely deserve their jersey numbers to be retired. Derrick, I just don't know. And it might be controversial, I'm saying it, but like I said, the injuries that, yeah, it would be an absolute slam dunk retire that jersey. But I think that the fact that he suffered the back-to-backs and everything. I don't know. I don't know that he put up enough stats. If he put up, and don't get me wrong, I know what he means to the city, and I wish he would have come played 1 year with us, to finish it out, and come back and played with the Bulls one more season. But
So if he had done that, would that change your mind?
I think it's like Patrick Kane. Like, I feel like if Patrick Kane came back to us and did one more go around, you know what I mean, to finish out the career, retire a Bull, retire a Blackhawk, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. Like, I think it would mean so much to the city. But again, I don't know that Derek has much left to really do that.
I think he could play one more season because you don't need him to be a star. He's not a starter anymore, but I think having him on the team would, especially with the way that the team is constructed right now, looking for something positive on this team, that's a big problem for them right there. And it is a very Reinsdorf move, like we just talked about, how they like to bring in these old players. But I mean, when it comes to the actual like retirement of the jersey, you hit the nail on the head when you talk about what it means to the city. It was a kid from Chicago. It was I'm just a kid from the West Side. You saw him act like a professional when he's at the All-Star game, and Dwight Howard and LeBron are juking on stage and all this. And what is D Rose like? These dudes look like fools that I'm younger than all y'all. He was a consummate professional. He looked out for himself, even when he was young, talking about the day when he would retire and hang out with his boy and his kids. I remember him bringing out his son PJ out to the court when he was a baby, right?
Yeah.
I think as far as the thing we got to remember is that when it comes to retirement jersey, this is not a Hall of Fame. This is not anything like that. This is an acknowledgement of what you mean to the city, what you meant to the team, right? It's not just and being the youngest MVP in the history of the league. He was the only one to ever do that. Now, I totally expected you to say no because you are a big ass Debbie Downer when it comes to this type of shit. I
would say this
about the Bears, man. So I'm not surprised.
I would say this. I would put him in a Ring of Honor, absolutely, hands down.
I mean, there's a lot of
Ring of Honor, hands down. But jersey retirement,
why not?
I mean, like, to me, that's like Hall of Fame career status. Like,
but that's what I'm saying is that this is an accolade for the individual team. Hall of Fame is for all of everybody, right? And that's the next question is does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Ooh.
I don't think he does. Again, I think the injuries just cost him.
But here's something I want to remind you is this is not the NBA Hall of Fame. This is the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. That includes your college. That includes your whole basketball career. Right. The youngest MVP in the history of NBA. If he
played 1 year in college.
What's that?
Yeah, I said he played 1 year in college, so there's not much of a college career to celebrate there.
He took that team to the championship, and he won like 2 state titles here. He was one of the best players of all time. Like, there's no doubt about it. But if he did not make the Hall of Fame, he would be the only MVP of the NBA to not be in the Hall of Fame.
It's rough. Mean, I just really think those injuries.
So
after he left the Bulls, he went to the Knicks.
He went to the Knicks. He went to the
Knicks, and then he went to Cleveland, Timberwolves, Detroit, back to the Knicks, and then finished his career with Memphis. And he's also a class act for retiring and saying, "I don't have to pay me the rest of the contract money, so it doesn't hurt your cap." That's a professional thing to do right there for an organization that gave him 1 extra year. Now, you can't put injuries on that because you have Penny Hardaway, you have what's his name with the knees that had from Detroit,
Grant Hill,
right?
Grant Hill never won MVP,
right? But what would he have been if he didn't have those injuries? You can't do that. You can't predict that.
Grant Hill was supposed to be the next Jordan before Kobe.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were naming him Pippen, the next Jordan, and all that stuff.
Same thing with him and Penny. Yep.
Right. So if you look at his Bulls career, starting off with 16 points, 16.8 points a game, then the 20.8. That's a huge jump. And then takes another big jump, 25 points. Dip in 2011, 2012, but they had a better complete team. That's when they went toe to toe in the playoffs. Then he has a dip, 15.9, 17.7, 16.4, 18. And then, obviously the injuries were there. I can speak to seeing him firsthand. That's when I worked for the Bulls, and it sucked not having him on there. And it took the air out of the building because everyone's like, when is he coming back? When is he coming back? And I was like, I don't understand why he wasn't coming back, because I would see him work out and run on the 300 level. So he would run around laps on the 300 level. Like, if he can run, why isn't he playing? And you know what? I can't tell someone that they should be playing because I'm not in that body. I don't know what they're going through, right? We had Taves. What's going on with Taves? We had no idea until he came out. And people were like, oh, he should be playing. Well, you don't know what that man's going through, right? And he kept it quiet for a long time and then came out with the diagnosis. It means too much to the city to have a homegrown guy who was successful in high school and college, was drafted by the city that he grew up in to become the youngest MVP, to lead the team to the playoffs. And if it wasn't for an injury, yes, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But let me tell you this: if that kid doesn't get injured, the Heat were in trouble.
Yep.
The Heat were going to be in trouble. And the Heat have also a couple of guys have a podcast. I can't remember the podcast, but they said the Bulls were the biggest threat to the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
They were scared to play the Bulls in the playoffs.
Talking about all the smoke.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They were scared. That was the only team they were scared of.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, he had him on the ropes.
But believe me, I remember sitting there watching the Bulls go against the Heat, and the fact that Derek wasn't out there, I mean, it killed us. But 7-8 seasons with the Bulls, I'm trying to look up his stats here, and like I'm basically trying to look at once he left the Bulls, like what did he do? And 64, 16, 9, 51, 50, 15, and these are games played,
right.
35, 26. So I mean, even towards the end of his career, he was 15, 35, 26, 27, 24. He
didn't have a role. He was at the end of the bench.
Yeah,
he wasn't needed. He was a veteran at the end of the bench, and if someone went down, he would come up and start, and he would show flashes of his own self.
He was Mercedes Lewis. Yep.
Yeah.
He's Mercedes Lewis in the NBA.
Yeah, he was a veteran that definitely was there to show veteran leadership, how to be a professional. If you need me to step up, I can play 15 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even when he played in Minnesota, 51 games, 18 points a game, averaged 27 minutes.
With Kevin Love.
Yeah.
Was it the Kevin Love years?
It was 2018, 2019. So I assume that was, he was probably with Thibs at that point.
With Tibbs, and then they brought Taj up there.
Yeah.
It was not that team.
No, Kevin Love. Yeah. Kevin Love was already with Cleveland.
So
even Knicks averaged 32.5 minutes, 18 points a game. Cleveland, he averaged 19.2 minutes. He only played 16 games in Cleveland. Averaged 19.2 minutes, averaged less than 10 points a game. Then went to Minnesota, played 9 games. So it looks like Cleveland traded him in season, played 9 games there, 12 minutes a game, 5.8. So again, you look up and down his stats, and it's injury plagued career.
Yeah, but like I said, there's plenty of other guards out there that had the same issue, and you got guys in the Hall of Fame. If Grant Hill can make the Hall of Fame, so can D Rose, and he absolutely deserves to have his number retired. There's no reason not to. You keep going back to the negative stuff and stop.
No, I'm just saying I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
For a long time, he was the heart of Chicago. He was the heart of Chicago. He was what we had to look forward to.
I mean, the Hall of Fame aside, the question is, should his number be retired?
Yeah,
I've said I'm not against it, but I don't think it needs to be done this year.
You're not for it.
I think we could wait 5 years and then do it.
Why?
What are you waiting for?
There's nothing to cheer for with the Bulls. Might as well give something to the fans.
There's no reason. There's not a stipulation where you have to wait to retire someone's jersey. There's no reason not to. There's no reason not to. There needs to be this upcoming season a Derrick Rose night where wherever it is, and then when you do your Ring of Honor, you can do it then if you want to. You also will do the jersey on Derrick Rose night. You're gonna do a Ring of Honor again because you still gotta. There's other guys that they got to bring in and put in the Ring of Honor. You include him in that. I mean, like, let the kid from Chicago. All he ever wanted to do his whole life was play professional basketball, and got the chance to do it in the city that he loves, that we love. There's a reason why we spent so much time talking about Derrick Rose, and I'm gonna tell you this because the way that you're talking about him, you're just like a lot of other Derrick Rose fans. The city of Chicago never deserved Derrick Rose. The way that he gave back, he did everything he could to be here for this team, for the fans, for his city, and everyone, every chance, every time he tried to say something, because he was not a really loud and boisterous dude, he always kept to himself. Every time he said some people took some against him. I want to make sure that I'm good for the rest of my career after I retire. Oh, what a bum. He doesn't want to do that. All he did was shit on him. And then when he left, everyone's like, oh, I love Derrick Rose. You didn't love him when he was here, so y'all don't even deserve him.
That was you're speaking about David Kaplan, who actually on air has apologized, and I apologize to Derrick Rose personally for doing that.
Yeah,
so,
but a lot of look. This show is 4 years old. We've seen a lot of fans shit on Derrick Rose over the years. It's what it is, and that's why I said the Bulls fans never deserve Derrick Rose for what he is as a professional, as a player, and what he meant to the city.
Yeah,
and that's.
We can put that as a poll.
Maybe I told you I might get roasted for it, but again, I don't know that a jersey retirement.
We know you don't like
with the career he had.
Someone you do like. I bet you I know someone you do like. And unfortunately, passed away today. Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo, 58 years old. He passed away today. I didn't realize how freaking big he was. 7'2". Speaking of retired jerseys, both the Nuggets and the Hawks have his jersey retired. I believe he had brain cancer, and I had no idea he was sick. So that was a really sad day for sports. And even seeing him more recently with the no, that was the best. So I mean, like, what are your thoughts about Mutombo and his impact in the NBA?
Probably one of my favorite players, probably one of my favorite big men, just because he gave it all.
Are we frozen?
No, we're not frozen. A gentle giant, well-spoken. He came over here, I believe he played for Georgetown and learned English at a late age. Never was malicious. I actually work with two individuals at my that played with him. One played with him in Atlanta, and I can't remember where the other guy played with him or played against him. But I was hearing stories from those guys today, and how he was always generous. Especially, he would pay for all the rookies' meals. He would take them under his wing, and all you heard was great things about this man, because he after finishing his career, he was a humanitarian in Africa and building homes and getting clean water, and then building a basketball arena for the people in his village. And he did so much after the fact and just shows you what kind of human he was aside from the basketball.
So, when the Rooks wanted to pay for their meal, he goes, no.
Anything I've ever heard about Mutombo has been that he is a great human being. So sad passing. Feel for his family. I mean, I didn't think he was 58. I thought he was older, but I guess, shit, he's only 20 years older than me. Hell, We are getting up there, fellas.
So if you didn't have enough reason to hate Rob Schneider at this point, as I'm looking this up, apparently he came out and said that the reason that Dikembe passed away is because he took the vaccine for COVID. Get this guy the fuck out of here! Like, don't stop doing this bullshit. Stop with this shouldn't even be a story. The fact that he's out there doing all this shit just to stay relevant. But speaking of controversial figures, another legendary sports figure actually did pass away today. Pete Rose, probably one of the best hitters of all time, if not the best, passed away today as well. I didn't even look. Just said he died at 83 years old. So I think he just died of old. I don't see anything here saying that he was sick or anything like that. And they just had they just had a documentary about him on Max that I saw, I think 1 or 2 episodes. It was a lot about him I didn't know. But yeah, Charlie Hustle passed away at 83.
Yes. So there's, according to ABC News, he was found in his home by a family member. This is according to the medical examiner. There was no signs of foul play. The coroner will investigate to determine the cause and the manner of death. So that's what we know at the moment.
Yeah, but like I said, one legendary player, hits leader. Z, you're probably bigger into baseball than any other sport. So, what are your thoughts about Pete Rose? And while you're talking about him, does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
100% deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. 100%. This guy was phenomenal player. And one of my favorite clips is when him, Frank Thomas, and Alex Rodriguez were talking about baseball and hitting. And he said, well, when I was in a slump, I move around in the box. I move up, I move down, I move side to side. He's like, until I figured it out. Baseball's making adjustments to figure it out. And this is the man that was the hits leader, was one of the best hitters. Yes, he gambled on the game. He didn't gamble for his team to lose. He didn't bet against himself. He just gambled. So what? It's legal now. MLB's taking money from FanDuel and all these places to advertise, and yet you still didn't put him in. And I understand it's not MLB, it's Cooperstown, right, that does that. But he was part of the Red Machine. He played for the Nationals. He played most of his career for the Reds. It's just he played for the Phillies and the Nationals. Definitely one of the greatest hitters of all time, with 3,562 games. He had 14,053 at bats. His hits is what, 4,256.
4,256. Yep. Listen, 17-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champ, NL MVP in 73, World Series MVP in 75, NL Rookie of the Year in 63, 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, Silver Slugger Award, Roberto Clemente Award, 3 times NL batting champion. Another retired number 14, Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball All-Century team. This right here is the career of a Hall of Famer. There's no disputing this whatsoever. The fact that he bet on baseball and the fact that they won't let it up. I'm at that point, right? When Ron Santo passed away and then they decided to pull in the Hall of Fame, I was I'm still pissed about that. If you're not going to give the man his accolade when he's alive, after he sat by that phone with his 2 different prosthetic legs, one in cubby blue, one in pinstripes, every year waiting for that call while he tried to put out the fire on his wig, you let that man sit there every year and agonize. Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? And then you put him in when he passed away. That was a slap in his face. Unless the family really, really wants this, Pete is never going to know that he won, that he finally beat the system that was keeping him out of the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I bet you after he's passed away, they put his ass in almost just to spite him.
It's Ron Santo, Manny Minoso.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 players that mean so much to Chicago, and they waited so long and kept them out for no fucking reason. Mm-hmm. No reason at all. Their numbers spoke for themselves, and they're going to do the same thing to Pete Rose, and it's not going to matter that much to the family because it mattered to Pete Rose. Pete Rose wanted it so bad. He's like, I've apologized. I admitted it. If these guys who took steroids have gotten in, and that was banned, How can I not get in? And it's not even that he couldn't even write on his inscriptions like MLB or something. He could not write anything that had baseball related. He can write his hits. He can, sign stuff like that. He was banned from the ballparks. He could not enter a ballpark, which is total bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't, baseball,
you go to most fields right now, and there's FanDuel and there's prop bet and there's all this other shit, and it's just it's steeped in professional sports right now. But you wouldn't give this man his chance. It's horseshit, man.
Yeah, and Big Z brought up the biggest point is that if these guys who took steroids and were juicing and everything else are making it into the Hall of Fame, and you made this guy wait, and again, even with Santos, you made these guys wait till they passed away to put them in. But Sosa, McGuire, some of these other dudes, who else? Name them. Name these guys that were juicing.
Rafael Palomero, Roger Clemens, Pettit. Pretty much the whole entire Yankees organization was juicing.
Barry Bonds. I mean, come on. Like, none of these guys should be allowed into the Hall of Fame, because if betting was that freaking bad and so disrespectful to the game, what the hell was juicing and hitting 70 home runs? It was great for baseball because, when McGuire and Sosa were having that back and forth, it brought eyes back on baseball when it was desperately needed. But you know what? It's a disgrace to the game. It is, you have players that are trying to do it the right way, and then you have players that are juicing completely, and it's ridiculous. And a guy who did it the right way, but he made a mistake, admitted he made a mistake by putting bets on game. Like you said, he couldn't even go into the freaking field to attend a baseball game, the game he played for however long, and you're telling him, no, you're not even welcome in the stadium. Get out of here. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure he was critical and probably talked smack about whoever, the commissioner was at the time and all this other stuff. And again, I'm sure he said some things that were inflammatory and probably caused him even more issues. But the bottom line is that you now have made this man wait till he passed away, and you're going to give him his flowers. Like,
my man played 23 seasons in Major League Baseball. 23 seasons. And when he got banned from baseball, he was already retired for 3 years. He was a manager. Nothing to do with his playing career. None of those numbers have anything to do with him as a manager. Period.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad day.
Very sad day. All right. Iraq, what do you have anything else on your notes?
No, that's really what I had for you. I figured we'd get fired up here. I think we can talk about what you looking at.
Yeah, we could do what you watching that isn't sports. So JC, you watching anything that's not sports?
Oh, so we're not going to do that stir in the pot topic?
Oh, I think we did enough arguing already.
Oh. Well, what I'm watching is these Lions in these amazing all black and blue jerseys right now. And what I want to bring up is, can we get a Bears black and orange jersey? All black, flat black, orange numbers, orange pinstripes on the sleeves, orange C on the helmet. Let's do it. Other than that,
no,
he's just trying to poke the bear today.
That's a terrible fucking idea. The black is not one of the Bears colors. You do want to do all blue with some all dark blues with some orange. Cool. It's stupid. This clamoring for the shitty uniform.
That or it's got to be all white and orange. It's got to be something.
Founding franchise of the NFL, the most classic, iconic jersey in all of NFL. Let's make it all black with some stupid bullshit on it.
Too, and their jerseys are ugly as shit too.
Yeah, well, the Packers are the Packers.
Time to get in the millennium. We haven't upgraded our jersey since the '85 Bears. You know what?
We'll get the orange one. We got the
my
all
God.
orange ones.
Orange is ugly as shit.
It's our
Come
color.
on.
But you want to put black and
Ugly as
orange
shit.
like it's Halloween.
Yeah.
They
think
do
it was
sell the black and orange ones at the store. So you can go pick one up, JC.
In game. I want them in game. I think it would be awesome.
JC wanted to poke the bear one last time. And by bear, I mean E-Rock.
You won one last time. That's all. This is back to the core of the show. This is how that show started in the first place.
There we go.
This is the core of our old episodes right here. Just me yelling at somebody.
Yeah, that was
and you know what? I'll go right back. We could do this all. Let me crack my neck. We can do this all night long, sir.
No, wait, no. I'm saying that was me for 148 because when we had the girls and we had Sean, that's when E-Rock did not yell at me that whole episode. Those two, you can go listen to those. Those are great episodes. I didn't get yelled at.
So basically, you just spend an hour 25 shitting on all the Chicago teams and players, and then giving a fucking, not only that, but trying to shit on the most classic uniform in the NFL. This is a Chicago sports show, sir. You don't like the Bears, you hate D Rose, and you want to make the fucking Bears turn black. What the fuck is this? You're on the wrong show.
No. I'm saying that it's about goddamn time that we gave it a logo refresh.
We already know how you feel about Chicago sports.
Do you think that there will be?
You want me to be honest? Right now, it is lackluster, and we suck in pretty much every sport.
Yeah,
that's my point. You don't. Everything is bad to you. Everything is negative. You over here. You and Steve. I can't wait for the Blackhawks to come on. They're worse than any other team.
Over the Cubs, baby. Cubs are done with. They're moving on. Moving on.
Season. They're actually doing something.
Thanks, Oscar. All right, let's do what we're watching before we run out of time over here. So, JC, what you watching that isn't sports?
Only Murders in the Building. I'm trying to think of what else. That Vince McMahon series. I watched episode 1 of that. I don't know. I watch random stuff. So, like I said, Only Murder in the Building. There's another show called The Ark. I don't even know what channel it's on. It's like a sci-fi space show. Really not that good, but I started getting into it and can't stop. And whatever. You ever just have one of those shows where it's like a background noise, and it's just whatever, like you really don't even know what's happening in the episode, but it's playing in the background?
That's usually my I put on That 70 Show for that. I want something in the background, That 70 Show, because I'll catch a zinger here and there, but I don't have to pay attention to it.
Well, it's Scrubs for me, or this TV show called Psych. I don't know if you've ever seen Psych. That's a good one. USA Network. I think it's on Hulu, or no, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon right now.
Let's switch.
Yeah, you got like New Girl, Seinfeld, 70 Show, and
I never really watched New Girl.
I love it.
Either. I never watched it.
Great dude. Nick Miller is a great character, and he's also a Chicago Bears fan. He's from Chicago.
Which one is Nick Miller?
Nick Miller is the scrubby looking dude from Chicago, not the black guy and not the fancy Jew. And he is.
Type it in there.
Schmidt is the Jewish guy.
More and more. There's another one. He was on New Girls, but now he's on a new show with Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah, that's
the Neighborhood, I think.
Mm-hmm. I watched that show. It's all right. It's a very CBS show. You could tell if you just watch. Like this feels like CBS. Like even like they have their houses, but the set is like them outside the house, and it feels very fake. But yeah, that's a totally CBS sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched that. The Neighborhood is. I mean, it's good for a laugh here and there.
Yeah.
E-Rock, what you watching that isn't sports?
Yeah, so I actually watched the entire documentary, the Mr. McMahon documentary. The way that he talked about he's Vince McMahon, and Mr. McMahon was the character. His relationship with his father when he was really young, the development of the company. I want to talk about it a little bit just because I know I really kind of watched WWE in that era when Shane O'Mac and when you had Mankind and the Dudley brothers and Dudley boys and Undertaker and Kane and Kurt Angle. Like that was really kind of my one big era of watching wrestling. And I know you're all in it, Z, and I know Juan's probably loses his mind over it, but the relationship with Vince and Shane was so like similar to me in his relationship with his own dad. And I almost feel like he never really gave him a fair shot because of it.
Yeah. Like, and it's how can you deal with a dad who's an egomaniac who, no matter what you do, is never going to be good enough. You know, you're never going to live up to that bar, and he's going to keep you down because he had to deal with his father who didn't know till he was like young. I think he was like 12. Yeah, 12. So you know, he had something to prove to his father at that point. So like, he wanted to make Shane go through that same process and stuff. And unfortunately, that's not how you do that. You know, I understand you make your kids work from the bottom and work all the way to the top. And you know, Shane and Stephanie did that. They worked at the bottom in different departments and worked their way up while they became. Go ahead.
So did Vince.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, Vince started as they threw his ass as a commentator, right? But the fact that he was Mr. McMahon and there's Vince McMahon. Well, let me tell you something. When you cheat on your wife, I don't care what you call yourself, you're still a douchebag for cheating on your wife. It's simple as that. And you try to justify saying, "Oh, it's part of this character." Well, motherfucker, you're the one writing the damn stories, and you're making all these females kiss you and rub, put your face in their butt and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I understand. The 90s were wild. The 90s were wild, and the content was crazy, and everyone loves the Attitude Era. At that point, it is what it is. Is that correct? No, no way in hell is that something that we would be showing on TV. Yeah. But at the same time, they allowed it. The network allowed it.
I mean, just to see the way that he went up against WCW, I didn't know that whole, like, I knew it was going on. I wasn't into it at that time.
Yeah.
But to see the development of that and to see ECW and the way that he basically took over all the different territories, and then WCW kind of did the same thing. And then he like, what the hell's going on here? And at the end of the day, he only paid $2.7 million for WCW. That's all he paid.
He paid for the library. That's all. He paid for the library and the wrestlers' contracts. That's what he bought out. And most of those guys are guaranteed, so they didn't have to wrestle. So they stood their asses home.
Yeah. And it was just crazy to see, like, to think about all of that they went through, and that's all that he had to pay for that franchise essentially. But look, I think if it wasn't for WCW, I think WWE might be gone at this point, because he had to push the envelope. Eric Bischoff really lit that fire under Vince's ass. But I mean, at the end of the day, you could see it from a long ways away that he was kind of a piece of shit. And the way that, I remember when he used to bring Linda out there all the time and tropes around with Trish Stratus and all that. And, I think the cool thing we got out of this was, seeing, John Cena and how much they respected Vince and in the industry, to understand what he was doing and getting over and this and that, and Stone Cold, the way that he approached things, and, even Shawn Michaels with his one wobbly eye now and all that shit. But yeah. Wow. But yeah, see, he got kicked in the back of the head one too many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, to see the development of the wrestling, I think for what that part of it was very interesting to learn about the business, the way it developed. But to see the fact that Vince clearly did not stick around for the last day of filming, it was pretty interesting, because it basically just admits everything to be true.
Yeah, it definitely made it all true, and we knew exactly what was going to happen. I mean, he would sign NDAs all the time, and it's just that they couldn't come out and do it because there was an NDA, and obviously they, he has more money for lawyers than these individual ladies. But again, if even if you didn't like wrestling, it's a good documentary to watch. It's an easy watch. It's very interesting. There's a couple things that did stick out for me was the relationship with his father, and then the relationship, how would I say, the addressing of the relationship with his mom.
Yeah.
He did it
briefly.
Yeah,
mentioned it's being something about incestuous and all this stuff, that was that was the first time I heard about that. So
Exactly.
that was something else too. I thought it was interesting when you saw the feud that he had going on with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the same dude. This is the same fucking guy.
It's the character.
It's the same, exactly. You know what I mean? They were like, "Oh, he's great for wrestling." I'm like, I think he still thinks he's in the ring. I think this is just another competition that he's a part of. One other thing I thought was pretty interesting about that was the fact that we saw The Rock one time, and that was very early on when he says, "Do you really want to know who Vince is?" or something like that. You did not see him interview throughout the show at all. You just saw he made that one appearance in the very beginning, and I almost feel like whatever he had to say, they didn't want to use. Maybe he stuck up a little bit, but he was on camera. They clearly interviewed him. They didn't interview him for the one-liner.
No, but I really think that because he's such a megastar and he is on the chair of TKO, which owns WWE and UFC and other things, and he's just a big juggernaut of a person because he's got the movie productions, he does movies, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that he might have pulled his trump card, so to say, and say, pull me out. I don't want nothing to do with this. I don't want to blemish anything that I got going. He's got Zola and everything. Yeah, he doesn't want to be blemished.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. But I just you would figure maybe what it was is that you heard John Cena, and like I said, you heard Triple H, and you heard Taker and Hulk all talk about what Vince meant to them. Saying that he was like a father. How many of those dudes says he was like a father to me, like a father? To not have anything like that from The Rock, that says something. The silence speaks volumes. And even if he is trying to protect the brand, you would have said something.
You got to also remember he was a kid. So can you imagine the stuff that he saw? Because he was backstage when Andre and Hogan were there.
Yep.
He grew up with seeing all the, that was the heyday of the wrestling when the wrestlers would, they would be gone 340, 360 days. They would probably wrestle almost every, Coco Beware or Junkyard Dog was talking about that. Mm-hmm. They wrestled just about every day. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's seen a lot of dirt on a lot of people, and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to be quiet on this.
That's what I'm saying. Like you could not talk the dirt, but we just never. My point was that we didn't see him praise Vince at all.
Oh no. Not at all.
No. Had at least one nice thing to say. He did not praise them whatsoever
because he was in those vignettes. I can never say that word. Vignettes, whatever.
Vignettes,
promos where it would be Trish and Vince and him.
Yeah,
and he'd be making fun of them. And yeah, I'm pretty sure take one, take two, take 25. They're pretty raunchy. So he doesn't want to be part of that. So. Anything else?
Him talking about the strudel,
but
listen,
strudel.
This is not the first time The Rock has distanced himself from controversy, because even like there's clips out there of Logan Paul talking about how he used to be such a Rock fan and he met The Rock and did some stuff with The Rock, and all of a sudden when Logan Paul went through some issues with his whole Japan situation, The Rock's people actually called him and said, hey, take down everything you have with The Rock. The Rock does not want to be, involved in blah, 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 and Logan Paul came out and said, he's like, that really hurt me because I looked up to The Rock. I really liked him, for him and his people to call me and, basically, extend me to 100-foot pole and try and distance themselves. I mean, that goes to show you, like, The Rock can sit there and say, like, I'm a great guy. I'm, whatever. At the end of the day,
it's business.
He's that guy that'll throw you under the bus to save his business.
The Rock,
he's throwing you under the bus, but I think he's just an intelligent businessman, protecting himself and his brand.
He is a global brand.
Yeah.
Logan Paul is not a global
brand ain't doing much right now because the Black Adam kind of tarnished that.
Everybody.
Don't get me wrong. I got his Terramana tequila right here. I mean, what it is.
Man, you try so hard just find the bad thing in everything, bro. Like you ain't said no positive. He was like, well, he's trying to throw someone on the bus. He's trying to protect his brand. And you talking about the one movie. Come on, man. Golly.
Don't think people having brands. Get your fucking brand out of the face. You know what?
How
many people need to be a tequila salesman? You got Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura now selling vodka. You got Kevin Hart selling tequila. Everybody's selling alcohol now.
Yeah.
You know,
don't forget about Ciroc. What's really in bottles, baby?
As a Costco employee, I can firsthand confirm Costco does not sell baby oil.
Because they ran out.
You heard it here, people. Diddy did not get his baby oil at Costco because we don't sell that shit.
You bought it before it got to the warehouse.
No,
the gallons
don't sell that shit.
That's what I'm saying,
He
man.
got that baby oil straight from
Have
the
you
source.
ever known anyone that actually drank Ciroc? Because I'm pretty sure that's what's in them bottles.
Oh, I'm sure I've had Ciroc at some point in my life while being at a bar or a club.
Oh my God.
Was it my first choice? No, but it was probably the cheapest thing we could get while doing bottle service. So.
All right, before we get out of here, I'll give a show that I actually binged this week, Heels with Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell was Arrow on CW. I'm sorry?
Did that come out?
So it transitioned from Stars to Netflix. Netflix picked it up and trying to see if it has enough steam for them to do a season 3. Now, the issue is that Stephen Amell has already picked up a gig to do Suits LA. So shooting that would be kind of tough. He's already said that he wants to do it. He was on the Michael Rosenbaum podcast and talked about that he wants to do another season. If you've seen Heels, it's a great show. Literally, it's about a relationship between two brothers.
But they shot season 3, didn't they?
No.
So what did you? So you watched the 2 original seasons?
Yeah, season 1 and 2 flipped over to Netflix. So I binged those 2. And then when
because they announced they're filming a season 3.
Yeah, so they maybe they started, but they got canceled by Stars. So the idea is that Netflix has enough people watch on Netflix to get enough steam to get it resurrected. It ended on a cliffhanger. It really ended on a good cliffhanger, and it's really good show. The story about 2 brothers and dealing with their father who committed suicide and leaving them the wrestling business in a small town.
I figured it was a wrestling show with a name like Heels.
Yeah. CM Punk's on it. His wife was on it. There's a football player. I can't put my name on it of cast. James Harrison.
No, it's a very interesting show.
Oh, yeah, from the Steelers.
But the brother, not Stephen Amell, but I don't know the name of the actor.
Alexander Ludwig.
Okay, Ludwig. He had posted on Twitter or X that they were going to shoot a season 3. So I thought maybe they had like you were saying they released season 3. So you got me super excited because I was like, I want to see where that cliffhanger goes.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but it's a good cliffhanger. I mean, it's great,
when they announced they were canceling it, I was like, well, shit. I mean, they left it at like, can we resolve this? Like, I want to resolve that cliffhanger.
Yeah, definitely.
So I did have a big breakup this week. After like 30 years, I broke up with Comcast TV. I go all the way back to Prime Cable days. Prime Cable, where all the channels sucked.
Except the weather channel.
So I went this weekend. I canceled the TV service. I got an updated router and went ahead and got the YouTube TV. And nice thing about that is that, like, right now, when there's 2 Monday night games, you can literally watch both on one screen at the same time. But I do have a problem with the fact that why are NFL games not streaming in 4K yet? The only time you can get 4K is you go on like Peacock.
Peacock, Amazon is in 4K.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how is this not a thing yet?
I don't understand. If you pay that much money, you should have the best production for it too.
Yeah, I mean, and all it is a signal. If Peacock can get a 4K signal, you can't tell me that Fox can't get a 4K signal, CBS, because I'm over there watching the Bears game and it's fine. But even then, sometimes at some points it's like 720. I'm like, how the hell is it 2024 and I'm watching anything at 720? What is going on here? It's first world problems, but goddamn.
Yeah, first world problems. You might have to get some Wi-Fi extenders to make sure
I got all that shit. I got the most fast Wi-Fi. They gave me a extender. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the quality of the actual product is what it is. Yeah, it sucks.
I love my Hulu Live, man. I'm a Hulu Live guy.
Yeah, I mean it's nice, but it's just the games they need to be in 4K. And I did get the 4K upgrade, so I did get the 4K channels. There's plenty of stuff on 4K. It's just that I don't know if they're not ponying up or what's going on.
And then you have me, no services whatsoever, just internet.
How you watching games?
We'll talk about that off air.
Yeah. You got the stick. It's fine.
Yeah.
JC's got the magic.
Yeah, no, because I was talking with Steven on Saturday, and we were basically discussing, like, he's like, yeah, I'm paying, what was it, like $90 a month for something? Was it Hulu or Amazon or
Hulu?
Yeah, I forgot what he was, but he told me, he's like, I'm paying $90. I'm like, you need to cut the cord on that. I'm like, 90. I'm like, what are you getting for $90 a month?
There's no cord anymore. That's streaming. Even if you watch regular Xfinity, it's still streaming. It's been streaming anytime since we've had a digital signal. Pretty much everything you're watching is streaming anyway.
Yeah,
don't care if you have cable box or not. That's why DirecTV doesn't have any satellites anymore.
Yep, that's good for them, because I used to have DirecTV, and if it rained or snowed, you're SOL.
Bro, if it was cloudy 2 states over, the shit was over.
my rents are still rocking the ATT Uverse.
That still works.
Yep. My mom will not cancel the subscription to it, because AT&T switched over to Dish, and we were not about to put a dish on the house. So they're still rocking the ATT Uverse. But like I said, to me, internet, give me the Amazon Fire Stick and call it a day.
Yeah. I watch on multiple TVs, so I don't want to move that stick from TV to TV.
Oh, I have like 7 sticks. I have one on like every TV, so I don't have to move them. I wait till Amazon days. They're usually like half price, and I just order one up.
Yeah,
like $15-20.
All right, boys, let's go home. It's time. It was a great show. Lots of arguing. Love it. Lots of opinion. Thank you to everyone who listened and commented today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football, and E-Rock for joining the show again. Great to see E-Rock, especially since he is busy being the super dad that he is. Thank you again to our listeners for sticking and supporting through us with over 200 plus episodes. Thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. You know what to do when you get to Grit Clothing Company. Go and get our shirts. Follow us on social media. You know where to find us on Facebook, IG, and Spotify, on Apple Music or Apple Pod, whatever you find our podcast, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go in there and subscribe and drop some comments on there. It'll shoot us up on the charts. If you have a stirring a pot topic or something you want to argue with E-Rock or JC or myself, email me at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. We love to argue here. All right, y'all. For E-Rock and JC, I am Big Z. We'll see you next time for episode 215. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.
Swish.